The email that ended my marriage was 3 words long. Results are ready. I was in the grocery store parking lot, leaning my elbow on the steering wheel, listening to a podcast I wasn't hearing, when the notification slid down my screen like a blade. I'd done the Just for Fun DNA kit months ago, because my sister was making a family tree for our mother's 70th birthday. I spat in a tube, paid extra for the health panel, and forgot about it. 2 weeks later, our pediatrician mentioned blood types during a routine visit. He joked about how our middle daughter, May, had inherited my own negative universal donor hero blood, and I laughed, agreed, and said something about trying to keep the cape tidy. On the drive home, Jenna, my wife, was quiet. That night she Googled blood type charts at the kitchen table while I folded laundry. Socks like tiny collapsed lungs. Weird, she said once, more to herself than to me. Weird went into the sink with the spoons, clinked, and disappeared down the drain. I didn't think about it again until the email in the parking lot. I tapped the link. The results page bloomed open with graphs and friendly colors. There was a big green banner. Great news. No elevated genetic risks detected. Under that, relatives. Your daughter May shares 50% DNA. I smiled, took a screenshot, thought about texting Jenna. Your son Theo shares 50% DNA. I grinned. Our 9-year-old had my ears and my temper and loved overly complicated board games. Then, under that, your daughter Lily shares 0% DNA. My eyes jerked back to the line. The words didn't rearrange. They didn't apologize. They sat there with the blank decency of statistics. Lily, 7 years old. Child who taught me how to braid hair using a stuffed giraffe when she was 3. Child who liked to fall asleep with her hand on my shirt like she was anchoring us. Together shares 0% DNA. For a full minute I didn't move. A woman pushing a cart knocked my side mirror, mouthed sorry. The smell of hot asphalt and overripe peaches from the farm stand mixed in the heat. The podcast host started laughing at his own joke, and the sound made me want to tear the radio out with my hands. I opened and closed the app twice, as if a reboot could erase betrayal. I called the company. An automated voice told me to check the FAQ. I checked the FAQ. We take accuracy seriously. Occasional unexpected results may occur. Non-paternity events. That last phrase made me bark out a laugh I didn't recognize. A non-paternity event, as if I'd scheduled it between a dentist appointment and a plumbing repair. At home, Jenna was chopping zucchini, hair pulled into a knot. Lily and May were drawing at the table, arguing softly about whether clouds could be purple. Theo ran through, grabbed an apple, and barreled out to his bike. My life was a photograph taken 3 minutes before a wave hit. I got my results, I said. The words were heavy, rolling around in my mouth, too big to swallow. She smiled without turning. Are you part Viking? I knew it. Lily isn't mine, I said. The knife stopped. Her shoulders tightened, a freeze from spine to fingers, then released, and she set the blade down carefully, as if the counter were glass. She turned slowly. For a second her face was a map I couldn't read. Then something crossed it like a shadow of a plane. We should talk, she said. Her voice was too steady. I looked at Lily, hunched over a sheet of paper, tongue out in concentration as she colored a sun purple. In private, Jenna whispered. In private, I repeated, because repetition is what you do when the ground tilts. We waited until bedtime. We read the books The Very Busy Spider for May, The Wild Robot for Lily, a chapter of Artemis Fowl for Theo. We exchanged the ordinary lines of family life like currency, exact change. By the time the house went quiet, there were grooves pressed into my heart where each child's head had rested. In the kitchen, Jenna poured 2 glasses of water, set one in front of me, and stared at the faucet like she could see her reflection in steel. How long have you known? I asked. I kept my voice calm because rage would feel like losing the only thing I had left, which was my ability to be the adult who didn't blow a hole through the room. I didn't know, she said, then added, I suspected. Once. She swallowed. When the pediatrician said May was O negative and joked about your superhero blood, the chart didn't fit for Lily. I told myself I was misremembering blood types. But I didn't sleep for 3 nights. Who? I asked. I gripped the glass so hard my hand shook. Who? Jenna, Theo's soccer coach, she said. Back then, 7.5 years ago, his name was Adam. The name was a thunk in my chest. Adam. Coach with the efficient smile and calves like rope, divorced, the kind of man who jogged in January. He texted me roster updates, weather cancellations, notes about shin guards. He'd never texted me that he was sleeping with my wife. I was lonely, Jenna said, as if loneliness were a place you could go and not leave fingerprints. You were working nights constantly that winter. We were drowning in bills. Theo was 5 and a tornado. I was postpartum with Lily before I knew I was postpartum. He flirted. I should have shut it down. I didn't. It was stupid and small and it meant nothing, but, she looked at me, it might have meant Lily. I closed my eyes. The ceiling fan whirred. Somewhere a pipe clicked, warming up. The ordinary noises of our house kept happening, as if they hadn't heard the announcement that our life had split. Did he know? I asked. Did Adam know? She shook her head. No. It was once, twice. I felt disgusting. I blocked him. He left the league at the end of the season. I never told him anything. I didn't tell anyone. She pressed her fist against her mouth. I told myself it had to be you. Lily is so you. She loves puzzles. Tears spilled suddenly, slanting down her cheeks. I told myself until I believed it. I wanted to hit something. I wanted to rewind 7 years and follow Jenna to the field and drag her home and sit her down and say, if you are drowning, don't drink the sea. Instead, I said the only thing that mattered. Lily is mine. I could feel the fact rooting itself inside me, stubborn as a tree. No matter what a website says, she is mine. Jenna nodded fast, desperate. Of course, of course. I will tell anyone who ever asks that you are her father. You are the only father she's ever known. She covered her mouth with her hand. A gesture that read like apology, like prayer, like a person trying to hold back a confession that had already been heard. I slept on the couch that night because I couldn't stand the bed, where we had made Lily and a lie. At 3 a.m., footsteps padded down the hall. Lily climbed onto the couch without asking and curled into my chest. Bad dream, I whispered. She nodded. I kissed the top of her head. Her hair smelled like the lavender shampoo I bought because the bottle had a cartoon octopus she liked to boop in the store. She tucked her hand under my shirt, palm flat against my ribs, and every argument I could make for rage evaporated like steam. The next morning, after pancakes and braids and a fight about shoes that lasted 3 minutes and felt like a homecoming, I called a lawyer, not because I wanted to burn the house down, because I didn't know where the exits were and I wouldn't lead 3 kids into smoke. He laid out words I didn't want to learn. Paternity, acknowledgement, estoppel. You signed her birth certificate, he said gently. You have raised her for 7 years. In this state, that gives you standing. But biology matters in specific context: child support, inheritance, medical consent. You can protect your rights, or you can walk. I'm not walking, I said so quickly I startled myself. I'm not walking anywhere. Then we proceed carefully, he said. We tell the truth. We make a plan that keeps the children's world as continuous as possible. Continuous. The word felt holy. I asked Jenna not to contact Adam. Not yet, I said. Not until I know how to protect her. And us. She agreed. For 2 weeks, we lived like people who had knocked over a vase and were pretending not to notice the water spreading. We were polite. We turned toward the kids like sunflowers. At night we lay on opposite edges of the bed like cliff hikers. On a Friday, while the kids watched a movie in a blanket fort, Jenna said, I told my sister. Her voice wobbled on the second word. She insisted, and she said I had to tell Adam eventually. He has a right to know. He had a right to keep his hands off my marriage. I said before I could stop myself. I stood and paced, the carpet too soft for how fast my feet wanted to move. If this was about rights, he lost his turn 7 years ago. She flinched. You're right, she whispered. You're right. I'm sorry. Everything I say feels like wading through glue. Theo's laugh came from the living room, high and wild, a bird's call. I wanted to lock the door, bar the windows, keep him in that sound forever. We started counseling because the alternative was becoming roommates with a mutual to-do list. The therapist had walls painted the color of milk, and shelves with plants that looked too healthy. She listened with the unnerving stillness of someone who knows most problems are simple and unsolvable. At the same time, Jenna cried. I didn't. I spoke with precise sentences like screws. I can raise a child who isn't genetically mine. I cannot sleep next to someone who turned our life into a coin toss. That sounds like boundaries, the therapist said, which are kindness wearing armor. The next week, Jenna asked me if I wanted to see photos from the month. Lily was conceived. She had them on her phone. All of us at a pumpkin patch. Theo small and fierce between us. A sunset so orange it looked fake. I said no. Then I said yes and looked at them anyway. Pain like a hot wire stretched between my eyes. Why did you tell me now? I asked, though I knew the answer. The email. The internet brought the truth like a messenger, who knocks and then wanders away humming. Because the lie was killing me, she said. Because I thought if I never said it out loud, I could keep it under the bed like a monster that would eventually get bored and crawl away. She covered her face. Because I was a coward. Because you are human, the therapist said, and I wanted to hate her for the mercy in her mouth. Instead, to my surprise, I felt relief. An enemy as big as human can't be punched. It can only be named and worked around like weather. 2 months after the email, Jenna moved into the guest room, and everything in our house slid a few inches to the left. We told the kids we were taking space to figure out how to be kind to each other again. Theo got angry and went silent for a week, fists in his pockets. May asked if space meant the moon, and we said yes, because explaining liminal states to a 5-year-old is a cruelty. Lily crawled into my lap and pressed her ear to my chest. Your heart sounds like a washing machine, she said. Like when a goosh goes around. I laughed and cried at the same time and told her that my heart had a lot of laundry. I didn't tell them about DNA. Not then. Not until we had a plan for how that information would be held like something breakable, not thrown like a plate. The call came 3 days after the guest room move, as if the universe couldn't resist a punchline. A known number. I picked up because I was expecting the plumber. Is this Mark? A male voice asked. My name in his mouth felt like the start of a fight. This is Adam, Jenna called. I think we should talk. Jenna hadn't told me. I pictured her in the guest room, staring at the ceiling, phone warm against her cheek. I went to the backyard, closed the door quietly, and sat on the steps. The sky was the blank blue of a stage photo. What do you want to talk about? I asked. He cleared his throat. First, I want to say I'm sorry. I didn't know. I swear to you I didn't know. If I had, I would have. I don't know. I would have stayed away more. I would have at least. He stopped. This is awkward. You think, I said, and the bitterness tasted like a coin. I want to do the right thing, he said. If she's mine. I don't want to take her away from you. I'm not a monster. I would like to meet her. If that's what's best. If that's what's best. As if the best had a map. As if there were a version where my daughter didn't feel torn between two men whose pride and shame might become her inheritance. Nothing happens without a court order and a therapist, I said. And nothing happens quickly. I steadied my voice. She is 7. She thinks the worst thing in the world is a broken crayon. I intend to keep it that way as long as possible. He exhaled. Okay, he said. Okay. After I hung up, I went upstairs and knocked on the guest room door. Jenna sat up, eyes swollen. I'm sorry, she said. I called him. I shouldn't have yet. I thought it would be worse if he found out from someone else. I thought, I'm sorry. Next time, tell me before you invite another fault line into our house, I said. I sat on the edge of the bed. We need rules. We need to be a team about this. We do, she said. Her relief at the word team cut me in half. We hired a child psychologist whose office had a wall of puppets. Dr. Lee was small and brisk and made tea that tasted like mint and competence. She talked to us first, then to Lily alone with puppets, then to all of us together. She said the words I wasn't prepared to love. You are her parents. That is a fact bigger than DNA. Will she need to know? Jenna asked. Eventually, Dr. Lee said. Truth told early and gently tends to grow with a child without cracking them. But timing is an instrument, not a clock. Right now, stability is the treatment. Stability, boundaries, team. The words piled like sandbags around our house. We told our parents. My mother cried. Jenna's father cursed and then went outside and pulled weeds with a ferocity that left a bald patch. Friends divided like cells. Some came closer, put food on our porch, said nothing and everything with their eyes. Others evaporated, as if the mess might be contagious. We tried separation. Jenna got an apartment 2 miles away with a balcony she pretended to like. We split the week. 2 nights I had the kids. 2 nights she did. Weekends we traded. The house felt too big. When they were gone and too small. When they were all home at once like a flock of birds. Lily started sleeping with Red Giraffe pressed to her chest so hard the neck bent. Theo joined a robotics club and built machines designed to carry weight without breaking. May learned to whistle and did it constantly. A tiny train moving through the rooms. The day the divorce papers came was sunny and indecent. I signed at the kitchen table where we'd once taught Theo fractions using pancakes. Jenna signed in silence. The pen left a rectangle of pressure on her finger. When the courier left, we stood across from each other in a house that had become a neutral meeting place for 2 people with shared custody of a history. I am sorry, she said again. Though we'd both agreed sorry was a penny dropped into a well. I know, I said. I believed her. It didn't make a difference and it made all the difference. We didn't tell Lily the full truth that day. We told her mommy and daddy were going to live in 2 houses, that both houses were her houses. Lily asked if she could have 2 toothbrushes. We said yes like it was generosity. Adam stayed away, at my request, because I'd learned that sometimes protecting a child means protecting her from your need to be right. He sent a letter through Dr. Lee introducing himself as a grown-up who cares about people you care about. She put it in a folder labeled later. Later became our favorite word. It tasted like patience when it wanted to taste like victory. A year passed. It took forever. It took a minute. The house taught me the new choreography of mornings alone, coffee for one. Quiet I didn't have to share with guilt. On Wednesdays, when I had the kids, we ate cereal standing up and missed the bus twice a month. On Fridays, when I didn't, I went to the gym and resented every uncomfortable minute, because discomfort made me feel alive. On Sundays, when we overlapped for pickups and drop-offs, Jenna and I learned to be the kind of exes who could joke about socks and calendars and pretend. The joke had always been ours. One afternoon in late spring, Lily and I lay in the grass looking for shapes in clouds. That one looks like a pancake, she said. Everything looks like a pancake if you're hungry, I said. She rolled over, propped her chin on her hand, and studied my face with unnerving concentration. Do all dads match? She asked. What do you mean? My heart clenched like a fist. At school, she said, we did a project with our families. We needed a picture with everybody and some math about how we're the same and different. Miss Vicky said sometimes kids don't match moms or dads in hair or eyes, and that's okay because matching is in lots of places, not just faces. Do all dads match? She frowned, trying to wrangle an idea into a sentence. I took a breath, the kind you take before you jump into cold water. The most important way dads matches in their hearts. She considered this gravely. So if a dad's heart matches, then he's your dad. Yes, I said, and the sky above us opened like relief. Exactly that. She nodded as if we'd solved something, then sat up. Can I have pancakes for dinner? You mangled your own metaphor, I said. That's advanced. Yes, pancakes. We cooked them in a cast-iron pan that had belonged to my grandmother. Lily stirred slowly, serious about bubbles. We burned the first one. We ate it anyway. I don't have a movie ending for you. There wasn't a scene where Adam appeared and Lily ran into his arms and the world rearranged into something tidy. There was a series of careful introductions months later, supervised, small and slow. There were park visits with Dr. Lee sitting on a bench, knitting, present and invisible. Lily was curious, then shy, then bored. She liked his dog. She told him her favorite color alternated between purple and gold depending on the sky's attitude. He laughed. He looked at me sometimes as if to check I wasn't going to swing. I wasn't. My fists had learned a different job, building. Jenna and I will never be what we were. We are something else now, collaborative and scarred. She married no one. I date no one I wouldn't trust with the grocery list. We sit in folding chairs at school concerts and clap for a chorus that cannot find a single note together and cry with pride anyway. Every once in a while someone asks if I'd do the DNA test again, knowing what I know, if I'd choose truth over peace. On bad nights, when the house hums with the echo of what it used to hold, I think about that question and want to throw my phone in the river. On most nights, I stand at the sink rinsing plates and think about Lily's hand on my chest and how my heart learned to match hers, and I know the answer is yes. Because truth didn't destroy my family, the lie did. The truth just gave the wound a name and a plan. If you've made it this far and you're waiting for advice, here it is, from a man who thought he had 3 children and learned he had to plus a miracle. If something feels off, ask. If you've done something that breaks a vow, speak before the email does. And if you're standing in a kitchen with a woman you loved, holding a glass that shakes in your fist, and your daughter sleeps down the hall like the person who saved your life by climbing into your arms at 3 a.m., remember that fatherhood is the act of staying. Tell me, though, because I still collect answers like tools, if a test told you your heart had been wrong, would you let the math erase the story? Or would you choose, every morning, to match the child who already chose you back?
Crazy, right? Subscribe so you don't miss the next one.